I can indeed, yeah.
Very good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You?
Well, I could be better off in Barbados, as I often say, but apart from that, ticking along.
Wouldn't we all?
Just trying to. Just realised I've got two mics on. Sorry.
Just thinking there's a bit of
That,
feedback there,
that,
right?
that's probably better. Is that better?
That is, yeah.
Oh, good God. Sorry, I'm trying to stream this onto our social media platforms, obviously, and therefore I need to have both a laptop and my phone to do this. And mind you, I've realised I may not be the most proficient person on what do you call this platform on Microsoft Teams in the world. So please do bear with me.
No worries.
Right, let's see who else is waiting to join us. Okay, so it's just us two for now. What I'm going to do is I'll just do some quick introductions for those that are listening in via the other platforms, Jennifer, and then when the others, when our other panelists join, then we can get started. Is that all right?
That's fine, yeah. No worries.
Great stuff. Thank you very much then. Right. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Startup Product and Tech Q&A. It's our 136th session. We've been doing these, good God, for almost 4 years now, where we've actually had about just over 270,000 people joining us. We currently do 6 of these sessions per week. Mondays, it's not per week. We do 6 in total. Mondays, it's talent. Tuesdays, it's product and tech. Wednesdays, it's growth. And Thursdays, it's fundraising. We also do 2 monthly ones that we've added this year. And if I can kindly ask you to mute, because it's creating a bit of an echo for me for some reason. I'd really appreciate it. So we recently added 2 more. The second Friday of each month, we run a session on a legal Q&A. And on the third Friday of each month, we run a session on finances. There will be, all of them, by the way, are from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and you can RSVP to any of them via our website, startup2scaleup.club. Now, today's session is exactly what it says. It's about building your early stage product or tech. So whether it is something to do with your product roadmap, or perhaps your website, or just a landing page, or maybe a prototype or design, or some automation, or low to no code, or some testing, or even launching your MVP, and anything in between or beyond for that matter, this is the place to be. What you'll need to do once we do the pleasantries, i.e. once we go through the actual introductions, and perhaps some do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage building, then we can talk about taking questions from the audience. What you'll have to do is, if you are tuning in via Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or some other social media platform, please be aware that unfortunately we're unable to monitor your questions there, which means you'll have to join us live here on Microsoft Teams. On each of those platforms where we're streaming live right now, you should have a link that I've posted there with the Microsoft Teams. So for you to join us here on Microsoft Teams, it's a very brief registration, a quick registration, and then you'll be able to join us live. Please do try and keep your questions onto product and tech related matters for startups. If, however, you've got questions on other matters, obviously you can join us on the other sessions that we do that I mentioned earlier. Now, what we're going to go through, it's some quick introductions, and then we'll open it for questions from the audience. If I can kindly ask you, if you are not speaking, please do mute, because for some reason it creates an echo for the others. So without further ado, my name's Anton Call. I'm an Albanian in London working with startups. Normally, right after they get investment, I embed within their teams and help them hire and keep the right people. I also do some growth advisory work for a few other startups and accelerators, as well as lately I've been helping some angels and family offices with their due diligence and assessment. And I've got a golden team with us today. We'll start from the lady of the house, who actually was nice and early, and then perhaps we'll go to Martin and then Mario. So, Jennifer, the floor's yours.
Hey, how are you? So my name is Jennifer Cox. I've been working in tech for 19 years, with the last 9 of them being more cybersecurity specific. So hopefully I'll be able to give you a hand today.
Hi, Martin Ectus. I am an innovator for the last 25 years. I've worked in companies like Nokia, Siemens Networks, Accenture, Canonical, company behind Ubuntu. I was the Chief Innovation Officer for Legal & General. And the last years, I've been helping a lot of startups and some scale-ups, a bit like blockchain and now lately AI.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mario.
Hey, hello. My name is Mario. I'm coming from Spain, from Valencia. I'm fractional CTO, working mostly with startups and scale-ups, helping non-technical founder manage their team and their technology.
Thank you very much for that, Mario. Well, you've heard them, people. We've got 3 brilliant product and tech people. They've been there and they've done it, and they're here to help us for the next 54 minutes now. So today's session, as you can see in the title, it's Startup Product and Tech Q&A. It's our 136th session. We're here to help you with whatever questions you have as you build your early stage product or technology. If I can ask the panel to start thinking about their biggest do's and don'ts, and don't worry if you feel like you've said these things before, but please start thinking about the biggest do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage product and tech. And we'll be here, as I said, for the next now 53 minutes. Please don't leave it for last second to ask questions. If you do have any, either put it in the chat or raise your hand, and I will then give you the mic. As for questions on other matters, please save them for the other conversations we host. So we currently do 4 per week: Monday's talent, Tuesday's product and tech, Wednesday's growth, Thursday's fundraising, and we also do 2 monthly ones: a legal Q&A on the second Friday of each month, and a finances Q&A on the third Friday of each month. All of these are from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and you can RSVP to them via our website, startup2scaleup.club. If you are listening to this via any of our social media platforms, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube or any other, please remember that we're unfortunately unable to monitor your questions there. So you'll have to join us live here via Microsoft Teams. You've got a link on each of those streams, and if you click on that, you'll be able to join us. It's a quick registration, and then you can come into this live. But for now, perhaps we can start with Mario, since he joined the latest, and then Martin, and then Jennifer. In terms of your biggest do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage product and tech. Yes, Mario.
Okay. So first one would be usual one about talking with customers, talking with as early as possible, and ideally before anything has been coded and has been built. Right now, I'm having a client. We spent some months building an app, and now they went to really talk to the customers, and it doesn't go really well because they ask things that we didn't build. They ask things that we didn't know they will ask. So now that we kind of going through the, okay, let's, we do pivoting based on that feedback that probably should have happened much earlier than this. That's one thing. So talk to customers early. The other thing is when it comes to decision on who is going to build, who to hire to build, going with the cheapest provider is probably the best way to burn money and not get anything done. Which is sometimes very tempting to do, especially for startups. They're usually short on budget. Well, everyone's short on budget, but yeah. So going with cheapest provider ends up being most expensive solution, I would say. So those two for today.
Cool. Yeah, so talking to clients, share with others what you're working on, fall in love with the problem, create embarrassing prototypes very quickly that you show them to people, try to bootstrap initially, because like what you shouldn't be thinking is that like, oh, you make slides and then VCs will come and throw money at you. You make the perfect solution one day and then everybody will use it, and you keep everything secret and you fall in love with your solution, but nobody sees it. As Mario said, you're at risk then that like you build something that nobody wants.
Is that me now? So for me, it would just be a case of don't spend a fortune on tools in the beginning. Just almost everything that you're going to need to try out will have a trial version or a free version of it first. In many cases, when you want to integrate with systems and such, do actually trial it out and see if it's something that's going to be useful, whatever it is that you're creating, before you start paying for it, because you can very easily end up with a hell of a lot of money being spent on subscriptions and new tools that you don't actually need. So do your research about what other people are using, and yeah, try them all out and identify what you actually need before you spend a lot of money on those tools first.
Well, thank you very much to all three of you. That is some brilliant stuff there. I really appreciate it. And now, again, just a quick reset. I see a few people that have joined us here live on Microsoft Teams. And I can see quite a few of you. Well, I say quite a few because yesterday we didn't have any. But I can see in total 14. So I'm assuming that is a mixture of Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Therefore, just a reminder, if you are listening to us via any of those platforms, please do be aware that unfortunately we're unable to monitor your questions there. So if you do have any questions, you'd need to join us live here on Microsoft Teams. And then when you are here, you can either raise your hand and we'll bring you up, or you can just put the question in the chat. And actually, for the two that I can see here, David and Andrew, if I can kindly ask you to just try and comment just to see whether this works or not. And I'm sorry, but I still haven't got quite the hang of this yet. So I'd just like to see if you are able to comment. That would really help. And I've put a question that we received from somebody. She is in Brighton, so perhaps if the panelists would like to have a look. I'll read it out loud for those that are tuning in via other platforms. Perfect, David. Thank you very much for that. So this is a femtech founder. She's in Brighton. They're at seed stage. She's got a medical research background. And she says, I'm developing a digital health platform for maternal health monitoring. We want to ensure our platform effectively tracks both physical and mental health aspects of pregnancy. Should we build separate modules for each or integrate them into a single holistic tool? What are the challenges in ensuring both user engagement and validity in our recommendations? Right. You put 3 questions here from what I can see. So maybe we can start with Martin and then Jennifer and then Mario. So first question, as you can see, Martin, is separate or integration. 2 is user engagement and validity in the recommendations. So we'll go with you, Martin, first, if that's okay, then Jennifer, then Mario, please.
Yeah, so physical and mental health are often very interlinked. So it has nothing to do with product here per se, but like if you have something physical, then that can like provoke mental health issues or vice versa. So making them separate seems to be what like in general healthcare does. But for the user, it might actually be better to have an integrated view. So I would say if you want to do something more original, integrate them. Because at the end, the patient is one single person, and a platform can then help them end to end. And then user engagement. So you need to make sure that things stay simple. So even if you integrate multiple things, always work with like the most basic things and let users add optional things if they need to, so that like it's very simple. I'm not really the expert on clinical validity in recommendations. That sounds like a compliance issue if you're going to do something wrong. But like perhaps any of the other panelists has something better there.
So for
Mario.
me,
Yeah, sorry, go on, Jennifer, actually, my bad.
you're okay, no worries. For me, I guess if it's certainly if it's women's health, and using as a user of many of those kind of apps, I would personally, I would prefer to have everything in one place and pick and choose what it is that I want to use at any given time. There's nothing more annoying than having to go into separate different aspects of different apps in order to get what it is that I want, to make it widgetable as such, or turn on and turn off different aspects. It's going to appear like that kind of thing is going to involve more work up front, but in the long term, it's going to be more manageable for you because you will have built everything on the same framework, and you'll have built everything with the idea of integrating it with each other. And versus the amount of work it's going to take to start that up front, it'll be worth it rather than having to come back and revisit something like that later down the line. So my inclination would be absolutely to go with it, but spend some time with different audiences now and understanding exactly what people want to get out of an app like that and what how they use it. So if you're talking about for women and women's health, certainly including the mental health side of it and tracking the two of those things, it's worth tracking the sort of the premenstrual, the menstrual, the menopausal, and the pregnant, and all these different phases. They're going to want different things out of it. So if you, even if it's a case that somebody puts into it that, you know, have discovered I'm pregnant, and enable certain aspects of the app from there, be intuitive about it. But you're going to want to talk to those 4 different kinds of people beforehand in order to understand what they want to get. Oh, sorry. And then there's of course, the ones that are attempting to get pregnant then too. But you're going to want to talk to those different kinds of people to understand what they want to get out of it, to make sure that you're covering everything that you need to. Because, you know, we all know one of the best known faux pas was on the original, I think it was the Apple Health app, or it could have been Google Health, where they created the great first health app and everybody was using it and thought it was great and fantastic, except there was absolutely no introduction for tracking of periods in it. So it wasn't accounting for 50% of its audience. And it just implies that maybe they didn't speak to 50% of the audience when they were trialing it out, because if they'd have spoken to one woman, she would have said so. So yeah, it's worth talking to the audience that you're going to be aiming it at, and getting opinions from them and what they want to use it for. And then at least you know you're going to hit the nail on the head as soon as you start.
Okay. So the question is, should I do more or should I do less? And
No, don't worry. Do what? Sorry, are you asking or are you saying that is the question?
well, I'm just trying to, yeah. So the question is like, should I do A, B, C, D, or should I do just A, right? And obviously, like,
Sorry.
right, yeah. So, and it's better to maybe to have A, B, C, D, right? But considering that constraint of early stage startup, which is time and money, right? And usually you don't have neither of those enough. So it cannot be A, B, C, and probably be half of A only, right? And I think it's very strategic, like what that will be, right? Because just going too broad. I'm not saying in 3 years from now maybe that app will have all of those things there, and same like Amazon started at selling books and now they sell cloud hosting, right? But for start, I think there should be very specific problem done in a really good way, and the more specific problem is, the higher chances are that the app will take off and someone will end up using it. Obviously, it's not the same if you start with 2 million and like 20,000 to build something, right? Then your scope can be bigger or smaller depending on your budget. But it's not as simple as say, okay, let's build more stuff and we're gonna connect to broader audience. I would say completely the opposite. Let's narrow down the audience to the numbers that are kind of big enough just to prove a point, to get some traction, get some revenue, and then expand from there, instead of just put everything there and not talk to anyone specifically. So that would be my advice for this founder, because I would assume this founder is kind of lack time and lack money to do everything they want, right? And prioritization, what needs to be done, it's super important. Sometimes it means difference between just failing and having some sort of success, because success at the beginning is just surviving, and then from there you can move forward and expand. So that's my take on it.
Thank you very much to all three of you, and that is brilliant. And to be honest with you, I personally as well think, because I've just looked her up, and at least based on LinkedIn, there are 3 other people in that business, so 4 in total. And personally, and from what I can see, at least on Crunchbase as well as on the LinkedIn company page, there doesn't seem to be any investment that has come in or funded, basically, let's just say. So definitely at this stage, I would focus on the absolute nichest, most specific features that you can think of. And, whilst it's absolutely brilliant to eventually have all those things that some of the panelists here mentioned, personally, I would just initially start to nail one thing that you feel you can do best and also capture people, right? And then move on with the others. Right here. Well, thank you very much for that, team. We've got 37 minutes to go. This is Startup Product and Tech Q&A. We're doing this to help startups with whatever questions you may have as you build your early stage product or technology. And those questions could be on anything, whether it's, let's say, from your product roadmap to your prototype design, landing pages, apps, low to no code, automation, testing, launching your MVP, and anything or everything for that matter, in between or beyond. All you have to do is raise your hand, or you can type it in the chat in the comments section, and then we'll give you the floor to ask the question, and we'll do our best to answer. If, however, you are tuning in via one of our streams, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or any other social media. Please be aware that unfortunately we're unable to monitor your questions there. Therefore, you would need to join us live here on Microsoft Teams, and you've got a link either in comments or in the share of all those social media platforms where you can actually just click and quick registration and join us live interactively here on Microsoft Teams. Obviously, this is being recorded and you can tune in to the recording later if you've missed any parts of this. Now, if your questions today are not on product and tech, please save them for the other sessions we do. Monday's talent, Tuesday's product and tech, Wednesday's growth, and Thursday's fundraising. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. We also do 2 other sessions that are monthly. Second Friday of the month, it's a legal Q&A, and third Friday of the month, it's a finances Q&A, and they're both from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. And now I'll put another question in the comments if my brilliant panelists wouldn't mind having a look at it, but I'll read it out loud anyway. This is where, okay. So she's from London. Yeah, I'm the founder of a prop tech platform in London that provides property data analytics. As our user base grows, our database queries are slowing down, especially when fetching data across multiple tables. We're using a PostgreSQL setup, but we often face bottlenecks when retrieving data for complex reports. Could you provide strategies for structuring and indexing our database to improve query performance? Should we consider partitioning our database, and if so, how can we implement it without disrupting current operations? Oh boy. Mario, do you want to start on this? And we can go to Jennifer and then Martin, please.
Yeah, sure. This sounds complicated, but it's quite straightforward problem, and a kind of good one to have, because it means there's some traction, some demand, something's going on, right? And multiple tables, meaning it's called joins when you join table data and from multiple tables to produce some sort of report for application to use. Is it report or some table, some display, whatever. And there's a number of ways to do it, number of ways to solve it. Probably the simplest one would be just to debug those queries, profile them, and see why they're slow. Is there some indexes are missing or whatever? And from there, just start looking and implement maybe some caching. There's a bunch of tutorials, a bunch of knowledge online about how to do it. I don't think it's something we need to discuss now, but generally this is problem that's solved number of times. There's a number of solutions to it. It's just a question to do a bit of research and having even moderately capable team to execute. So nothing to worry about. I would say those are kind of good problems to have.
Mario, if you're able to have a look at LinkedIn, I think I have tagged all 3 of you in the comments of the live stream there. Would it be possible to maybe, if you can find a YouTube video that gives some inclination as to what you explained, or points you in the right direction, or an article or anything for
Yeah, sure. I
people?
can look up something and just drop it on the chat during the call for sure.
Or if you don't mind, I'm not sure if they'll be able to see the call, and you'll have to forgive my ignorance, but I'm not sure if, because I am recording this Microsoft Teams, but I'm not sure if people, when they view the recording, if they can also see the messages in the chat. So maybe if it's not too much of a problem, if you go to LinkedIn, you'll see I've tagged you on the comments of the live stream there. And if you copy and paste it there, they'll definitely be able to see it on LinkedIn at any point. I hope that
Perfect.
makes sense.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Is that all right?
Sure. Yeah,
So it's just
maybe.
that what you've just said to me all sounded Greek or Arabic or some language I don't understand. So that's why I'm hoping at least these people that will listen to the recording, because she's not here from what I can tell anyway. She's not live, so at least if she listens to the recording, it will hopefully there'll be something to point her in the right direction.
I'll do that. Perfect.
Thank you, buddy. Jennifer.
And for me, I haven't a whole lot more to add on the technical side of it. Just if you find that you're growing and you're getting much bigger, maybe start considering using some different tools that can manage it in the long term. Like Elasticsearch can be pretty good. And things like, I think it's Weka that do like a new cloud storage solution, but they seem to be able to grow on a big scale, like with regards people being able to access the data without any impact to the performance for their end users. Another thing then is, depending on your user base and the kind of data that you're keeping as well, just want to throw in, like, if there's anything in there that's Pi data, that, are you hosting all your data in the countries it's meant to be hosted, depending on those regulations and such? Like, if there is anything that's Pi data in it, personally identifying data, you may have to have it stored or hosted in different countries, in which case then you have the opportunity to split that data out or have different databases depending on the countries and the end users too. So maybe just think about that if it is something that you can put in different databases, spread it out that way. But otherwise, no, I'm thinking of the further down the line part, so it doesn't become a big beast to handle. That you think about your options then for that.
So yeah, already good points. Definitely learn how to like profile queries and find out if there's any bottlenecks, indexes missing or whatever. Caching, Redis could be mentioned in addition to Elasticsearch. You could also, if you have a problem that like a small number of writes like impact the performance for people that are reading, separate different database instances, some that are like write and others only for read, so that like all read queries can be done without any impact from anybody writing. It could also be that like the type of data that you're storing is very much linked, because what we're hearing is when you join multiple tables, so it might be that like your data is not ideal to be in a relational database. Things like or companies like X or Twitter before had all these problems with like data that was very much linked. And then they started looking into graph databases. If you have to jump from like one user that's connected to another user that's connected to this, those type of things could be interesting. Sharding is an option in which you go and say like all users from this country, or all users whose names start with A or whatever. However, that very, very, very quickly makes it very complex to manage and operate. So I would only say that that is an option if, for instance, you're working with like enterprises and you would shard by enterprise, where it would actually be good because you could then move like certain high usage enterprises to like their own instances, for instance. But if it's all users in a system, then it will bring a lot of complexity, and there might be easier ways to solve it.
Well, thank you very much to all three of you. That is some brilliant answers there, and I really appreciate it. And unfortunately, it's one of the things that it's very hard for me to even attempt to want to add any value, because it's not really my forte. But what we can do now is perhaps just a quick reminder for those of you that are tuning in via YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. We are unable to monitor your questions there. Therefore, if you do want to ask us anything, you would need to jump onto Microsoft Teams, where this live audio only session is being hosted. There's a link on all of those streams on social media. It's normally in comments, where you'll be able to just click on it, quick registration, and you can jump on the Teams call, and that's where you'll be able to ask us questions. If your questions, by the way, are on other matters, save them for the other sessions we do. We run 6 at the moment. You can find them on our website. I'll put another question that was sent in to us. Where is she? Oh, I haven't done that yet. I'm sorry. Let me find. We've got a few actually, but this one, it's a sports tech company. They are a few co-founders in Belfast. So where are we? Yep, chat. God, I'm losing it. I'm sorry. I'm still getting to grips with my Teams. So, all right. Okay. Right. Put it in the chat. So if you team want to have a look at it, but I'll read it out loud anyway. So this is Sports Tech Founders ×3. So I'm assuming she means there are 3 co-founders. They're based in Belfast. She's got a sports coaching background, and she says their problem is developing an app that provides personalized training plans and performance tracking for, sorry, not that problem. The problem they're solving, it's to develop a app that provides personalized training plans and performance tracking for amateur athletes. And then she goes on to say, our app is gaining traction among serious amateur athletes, but we're finding it difficult to engage casual users who want to stay fit, but aren't necessarily training for competitions. These users are intimidated by the intensity of the training plans. How can we create a more approachable version? Shall we start with Martin and then Jennifer and then Mario, please?
So when you go into the app, the first thing the app should try to understand is, are you like a beginner, intermediary sports person, or like almost professional athlete? Because of course it's like going into the gym. If you would like offer a bodybuilder a beginner's plan, or somebody who has never gone into a gym a bodybuilder's plan, that would go horribly wrong. Same here. So I would just try to make sure that like you adapt to the skill set, to the expectations, and you can do that very easy by asking one question during registration.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. That logically that makes sense. I think if you're trying to get people to take the app in that aren't hardcore into it, then look at what they see when they go to the app store to download something like that. For me, like I would be not mad into any particular sport like that. I tend to like to do stuff by myself, and it's pretty low key. So if I'm looking for an app and I see people doing a lot of like the big weightlifting folk doing a lot of intensive exercise, even on the pictures in the app, I'll just skip right over it and go on to something that looks a little bit more suited to me. So in that case, what you're looking at doing is making sure that you feature your target audience in those pictures. And if you don't have pictures of people on the app when you're ready to download it, then make sure that somewhere in your initial page where people see the app, that you have something that lets them know that it is also suitable for the non-hardcore. So you could say, I don't know, the colors matter and the language that you use matters. So maybe you're talking about fitness versus weight programs versus as in weightlifting programs versus weight loss programs versus different stages of life. So you could have ones that were, looking at the over 40s solutions as well, because and over 40s females or men. Look at the different ones that are there and have a look what people are going to see when they see your app and what they're going to decide to download it on. is their initial view. The very first thing they see, if you go into the App Store and you see those, there's usually about 3 or 4 print screens of an app, screenshots of an app when you go in to download it. If you've got something on that that shows them that more than your average bulky weightlifter is in those pictures, then you're appealing to a broader audience from there.
So special plan for over 40. I felt this. I find this.
I'm over 40. That's just like, build one for me. Did I expose you? Did I?
Yeah, I was like, wait, why do we need separate?
but versus those, like your average 25-year-old is out bulking
No,
and high protein.
they
and
don't
doing
need
all
nothing. They should be
Yes.
kicked out from all the gyms and like should be forbidden there. They should be allowed to gyms, right?
This is true. This is true. To be fair,
Yeah.
like my husband goes to the gym a lot, and he's in his 50s, so you know there are obviously those, but they can pick then the option for those who are into the weightlifting or into the hardcore fitness. But if you show something that kind of customize, or even just an option saying that you can customize it to your fitness level, and that's obviously something you can do from the beginning, I think that'll appeal it.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it's at the end, it's a goal, right? And those serious guys, they have goal to run a marathon, and obviously, if you want to run a marathon, it cannot be easy, right? So you have to be intimidated, kind of. Otherwise, you cannot do it because it takes serious work and and hours of running to do it. I don't know, but my question is more on the product side. Like, why do you? Because like wording here is quite interesting, and it says amongst gaining traction among serious amateur athletes, right? But we're finding difficult to engage casual users. And casual users, they they're not paying for it, right? So it's those serious guys that might be paying for it. So from the product perspective, that's also something I would probably challenge if I talk with this founder and say like, but do you really want to expand your user base instead of like just solving problem for those guys who are serious about it and that you might find easier to monetize? But besides that, I mean, big goals needs to be intimidating in a way, right? So if you want to accomplish big thing, that training plan has to be, oh my god, right? And there's, I don't know, like maybe to borrow some sort of inspiration from, let's say, language learning apps, and those, they're able to serve beginners, but they're also able to serve more advanced users, or more advanced speakers, by giving them different different tests, different experience, kind of, because at the end it's about the goal, I would say, and goal can be, for serious guys, the goal will be higher, bigger, and the plan will be harder as well. So how that will translate to user interface? Do we need pictures of strong men and women with muscles lifting weights? I don't know, but I'm sure there's a way to go around it.
Fair enough. Some good points of view there that hopefully, when they listen to the recording, they'll be able to come up at least with inspiration from this in terms of finding the right way. Okay, we've got 17 minutes to go. We've got some shy listeners via YouTube, and she sent another question. Not another question, she sent a question. But just before that, we'll do a quick reset. This is Startup Product and Tech Q&A. We do this every Tuesday from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, where we seek to help startups with whatever questions you may have as you build your early stage product or technology. See the idea, it's quite simple. If you're a founder in the, whether you are listening to us via one of the social media platforms, or you're here live on Microsoft Teams, just let us know and we'll give you the mic to ask questions. There are no right or wrong questions. There's no need to be shy, and your questions could be on anything to do with product and tech. So I don't know, let's just say prototype, product roadmap, design, low to no code, building an app, a website, a landing page, something more technical, or just your prototype, or some kind of testing, or maybe your MVP. There are no wrong or right ones, basically. If, however, your questions today are not on product and tech, please save them for the other conversations we host. We are currently doing 6 Q&As, 4 per week: Monday's talent, Tuesday's product and tech, Wednesday's growth, Thursday's fundraising, and also 2 monthly ones. Second Friday of each month, we will do one on legal stuff for startups, and that is UK law, by the way, just to clarify. And on the third Friday of each month, we'll do one on finances, and that, yes, could be international, but again, mainly focused on UK. All of these are from 12 to 1 o'clock, and you can RSVP to them via our website, StartUp to ScaleUp Club. We'd also like to encourage you to join our WhatsApp group, and you can find that on our website. As soon as you go to StartUp to ScaleUp Club, there's a WhatsApp icon. If you click on that, if you join that, you'll be able to get alerts for all future sessions that we do. Now, if you do want any more input in terms of serious input, or perhaps you need somebody as a fractional, or you need somebody to give you some advice, you can find anyone better than Jennifer, Mario, and Martin. So if there are matters on these topics that we discussed that you need help with, please feel free to reach out to them. Also, be aware that obviously they do these hourly sessions for free, but you can't expect them to work for free beyond that. So just bear that in mind. But without further ado, perhaps my panel want to have a look at another question. And this is from somebody on YouTube. For whatever reason, she doesn't want to identify herself here live. So, we're building a mobile payments app targeting small businesses in the hospitality sector. I'm a fintech founder, London. I've got a banking background. Our MVP needs to process real-time transactions and provide analytics to small business owners. Should we build our own payment gateway, or is it better to integrate with existing providers like Stripe or PayPal? How do we weigh the cost of transaction fees and potential security risks when integrating third-party solutions? Well, the first part, I'll answer that. Don't start spending money now. If you can do this via Stripe or PayPal or somebody with a good reputation, just go for it. That is my advice. In terms of how to integrate this with third-party solutions, these larger firms, with a good reputation, they will help you do that. More often than not, they'll give you material in terms of the technical side as well. They're not going to do the job for you, although I've heard of cases that they have, or at least they made it very simple. But more often than not, they'll give you or be able to point you in the right direction in terms of how to do that integration. But perhaps this time we can start with Jennifer, then Martin, and then Mario. So you've got 2 to 3 questions. 1, build their own gateway or integrate one of the larger providers. 2, weighing up those costs and transaction fees and potential security risks when integrating third-party solutions. And I'm guessing, in a way, if they do decide to integrate third-party, how to do it. So shall we start with Jennifer and then Martin? Sorry, Jennifer, Martin, then Mario, please.
Sure thing. Well, my inclination would be to integrate where possible and use what's already out there. I'm not seeing in this what you're going. Well, maybe you don't want to share it, but what you're going to do that's much different to people who do it already. Maybe it's just a real time transaction processing. I know that some people do that already. You want to make sure that your unique feature is really obvious if you're going to be hitting the market. But when it comes to the security part of it, you would consider integrating with third party in the same way you'd consider any third party security risk. So then anyone who can potentially be a third party has to be willing to or either able to provide results of auditing as a third party provider or be willing to allow for an audit to be carried out as a third party provider. Generally, you'll decide what what the audit criteria is to some extent, basically what standard you want to comply with. And you can pull those standards through a quick Google search as such to find out. In the fintech side, you want to find out what you need to have in place, and then you should also find out what you should have in place, which are typically two very different things when it comes to security. The needs are often the minimum requirements, and then what you should have in place that regards best practices that'll make you a leader in this side of the industry are often different things. So you want to have a look and see what those best practices would be or what people might recommend, and then decide where you want to sit between those two brackets as such from a security perspective. Obviously, I'm from a security background, so my motivation is always to be at the forefront when it comes to security, because especially when it comes to fintech or things like health tech as well, if you're going to be leading on the security side there and people feel that their data or their money is safe with you, then that's going to put you at the forefront when it comes to having people want to use your particular app. But yeah, do a bit of Googling of a third party risk assessment and have a look. In some cases, you can use free tools. Like I used to work for a company called Tenable. They have a Nessus scanner that people can use a free version of. And even if you use something like that on your home network at home and see the kind of vulnerabilities that you have, that's the kind of stuff you'd begin with, depending on how big the company is that you're going to integrate with. They may not provide you with those results themselves. But have a look into that to get a general kind of idea of the expectation, but always push for more than is needed if you want to be a leader in this side of the industry.
Thank you very much. And just before we go to Martin, Jennifer, if you don't mind, some of those tools you mentioned, although this person said she was tuning in and listening to us via YouTube, it might probably be a bit complicated, so it's probably easier. If you don't mind, if you have a look at LinkedIn, I've tagged you in the comments of the live stream of this session. And if you wouldn't mind perhaps posting with some of those tools, I'd be really grateful. And
sure, I'll do that now.
Hopefully she can then look into this a bit further. Thank you for that, Jennifer. The second one was Martin, wasn't it? So Martin and then Mario, please.
I need that mic button. Yes, so basically, the obvious answer would be no to build your own if like you're focusing, and I agree with Jennifer, we're not clear what the uniqueness is here, but if you're focusing on, like, for instance, reconciliation problems in hospitality or something that like hasn't got really to do with like who took the credit card payment or whatever, then like it makes no sense to make your own. You can use Stripe, PayPal, Square, or whoever. It might also be that you need to use them because you don't have your own payment license. So basically using one of them could solve that problem as well. And building your own would probably be a lot more risky than like using any of those big providers, because they already have like big security teams and so on. Now, when would be the only time I would potentially say, yes, you could build it? Well, if your core feature is about something unique that nobody of those big providers offers today, then the thing is different. So if you say like, hey, we're the only one that allows, for instance, both credit card and crypto payments in bars and restaurants, because we see that a lot of people now are earning stable coins, and we allow them to go to a bar and spend it there, then of course you might have to, because some of the other platforms might not support that, but then you also have the regulatory compliance issues and so on. So it's a big if. You have to do it in that case as well. But definitely integrating with one of the big providers is often just an API call and some like JavaScript or something away. So I don't see the big security issues versus like building all these things yourself.
Thank you, Martin. Mario.
It's funny how nobody wants to build their own airplane where they go somewhere, but they want to build their payment system, right? And I think this founder, considering the question, I don't know if this is their own wording, but I think they need some like perspective shift on because like whatever you do, Stripe is gonna do security better than your MVP, right? So like it's probably, and that's why they don't, the integration in Stripe doesn't let you touch credit card numbers. Otherwise, it would be mess out there. So when you integrate Stripe, you don't do credit card form field is rendered by Stripe, so you don't have access to it as a host page, right? Because you cannot trust small MVPs with security on that level, and I think that's fair, right? So those are serious kind of infrastructure companies. They do like serious work, and Stripe has more employees than many airlines around the world, right? So we still go and fly with them without wondering should I consider building my own plane, and that's probably not similar level of complexity, but to the point, right? So becoming payment provider is a lot of work, and so definitely not MVP. But what I would like to question here is that perspective that integrating third-party solution becomes a security risk by default is something that I would like to challenge, because usually by using third-party solution when you're starting, you're actually reducing your security footprint, because you're not building floppy solutions that otherwise could be purchased and integrated with someone who has more experience in building those solutions. So that perspective of this founder, like, oh, but if you integrate third party, what happens with our security? Well, probably, like generally, statistically, your security should improve in that case. When you're MVP, when you're MVP, you're pretty much clueless about what you're doing. You have no idea what you're doing. You have some kind of idea what you should be doing, but whatever you're doing, you're probably doing most of the things wrong, and that's normal. That's just how it is. Like a baby, you're learning how to crawl, how to walk, how to right. So don't worry about should I run marathon? You just don't do that. That's not for you, right? So I would say and that's probably one of the for the beginning of one to do is always when you're starting, the more you can integrate, the better. The less you can build, you can code on your own, the better.
Well, that's some brilliant stuff from all three of you, and I really appreciate your answers. We've got 3 minutes to go before my informational and all that stuff. Well, actually, I'm going to do that first, and I'm going to give you a few seconds to think. This is 2025. I'd like to call it StartUp year. But what I'd love to hear from you is one thing that you can predict.
You're a bit far from the microphone all of a sudden.
Can you hear me now?
Better.
Right. If I can ask you to predict one thing doing well when it comes to technology this year, and one thing doing bad, whilst I do, a reminder about all of our sessions and stuff, I would really appreciate it from all three of you. I'd love to hear, and especially if either of you have got anything or have followed the recent AI announcement in the UK, or for that matter, with AI, what's happening from a regulation point of view in the EU, and also what's expected in the US, that would be great. So think of one thing going well and one thing not so well this year, I'd appreciate it. Now, we've got 2 minutes to go. Just a quick reminder to everybody, we're currently doing 6 sessions. Monday's talent, Tuesday's product and tech, Wednesday's growth, and Thursday's fundraising. They are from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. We also do 2 monthly sessions. On the second Friday of each month, there's a legal Q&A, and this is for UK startup law. And the third Friday of the month, there's a finances Q&A, and although it's mainly for the UK startups, there'll be stuff there startups internationally as well. They're on Fridays, as I said, and they're from 12 to 1 p.m. as well. If you want to RSVP to any of our future sessions, there are 2 ways you can do that. Best way is go to our website, StartUp to ScaleUp.club. That's where we publish our our Q&As. And there's also a WhatsApp group. There's an icon of that group. If you join that, you'll then be able to get alerts for all future sessions we do. Yes, that's pretty much it. Now it's 1 o'clock. Let's start with the lady of the house, then Martin, then Mario. One thing you foresee going well, and one thing not so well when it comes to technology this year. Jennifer.
This year, I think both my not going well and my going well are probably both the same thing. It's on the AI side of it. I guess with the not going well, it's people's willingness to embrace it. There's a lot of fear, but it's actually, if you consider AI less something that's coming in to take your job, which is what a lot of people are afraid of, and think of it more like something that's coming in to be your employee or help you to do the bits of your job that you actually like to do, then I think it's easier to embrace it. And when people do, I think it's going to be the best part for them. It's going to take away all that monotonous, boring stuff that everybody hates doing but has to be done, especially if you're running your own business as well as trying to create a new one. That's where you got to go.
Good, thank you very much, Jennifer. Martin.
So I also AI, because I'm deep into it. It will basically bring a lot of amazing use cases. It will be the year of video generation. It will be improving enormously how fast you can code new things, and coding will mean like create me an app and this and that, and it will do designs for you, and it will like do a lot of things that used to take a lot of people to do now. It will drive cars around in major US cities, because this will be the year that Tesla probably goes in like you can sleep behind the wheel mode. And it will become so good in many categories that like even PhD and doctors and professors will have a hard time competing against it. The one thing where it will be bad is that it will be used to generate very fast ransomware, viruses, spam, deepfakes, especially because videos will now be possible. So some very bad people will use it for some scary stuff.
Thank you very much, Martin. And last but not least, Mario. And by the way, if you've got time, I would love just a number of years from all 3 of you after Mario's input, in terms of how long would it take for startups or anybody to build an app that can go on, say, Apple or the other operating systems, that people, even dumb people like themselves can just go and build it on something like ChatGPT and make it fully functional. How many months or years that take? But let's take Mario's input, year's prediction on bad and good.
Yeah, so I'm quite sure that in 1 year we're not gonna be able to sleep behind in our cars that will drive, right? So I think this year will bring some cool down on AI and all that like crazy promises around it that are clearly not happening. It will end up being useful tool that do text summarization, but not much more than a bit of help on coding, but like more like on assistant side, on someone to do really stupid work for you, right? But none of this, doctors driving, none of this happening this year, and probably in this decade, I would say. So I would expect like a lot of, from my perspective, a lot of this AI hype is happening because OpenAI needs to pump more money. That they're losing millions, billions a year, and they need to raise more money and they need to promise bigger stuff because they need to raise more and more money. So we have that kind of circle of over promising for a tool that has potential, but it's nowhere near that it's gonna cure cancer and drive us in Paris, like packed streets, or Mumbai, or Paris, or New York, right? So that's not for sure. That's not happening. So what's happening this year, and what's happening, but this year, today I had a call with the guy that has welding company, like heavy manufacturing. They're going digital, they're going online, they're integrating Microsoft Dynamics. They kind of doing things that those kind of companies weren't doing like 5 years ago. So all that like huge part of economy, which is very much offline, and most of economy is still offline, contrary to what we believe in. A lot of those guys are coming online, bringing their own somewhat boring problems, but problems that needs to be solved. They need to be connected. They need CRMs. They need all that setups to work, to integrate maybe AI to help them on the side. So those guys are coming. It's huge opportunity, not in those sexy startups that are funded by Silicon Valley money. There's huge opportunity with what I call boring companies that are like very low on technology, but they need to become digitalized. They need to do technology transformation on their own. So I'm getting more and more business from that side, and I feel like a lot of them will need a lot of help in the coming years.
Very much for that, Mario. We've lost Jennifer. Martin, how long would it take to somebody like me to build a fully functional app to run a business, publish it on Apple or wherever it is, let's say via something like ChatGPT?
Yeah, so ChatGPT is able to generate Flutter code quite good. So that would be a recommendation I would take, because it would enable you to go and say, generate this, generate that, and so on. The problem with all of this is that, like, I think an expert could generate a working app in a day and get it live, because they know exactly what to ask for. And if something doesn't work, they know exactly what to do to get it working. But that's the biggest problem here. So ChatGPT, even if it can write perfect code, if you don't know what to ask for, it will not write that perfect code. It will write simple code. It might write code that's based on old version, doesn't compile, and so on. So if you don't have any idea, then like even the best ChatGPTs can't help you, and that's going to be a problem in any domain. If you like ask it to generate a contract as a lawyer, or ask it to look at an X-ray, if you have no idea, it will give you a confident answer that can be complete hallucination. So experts days, if you have no idea, yeah, you could get something to work, but I think we'll still need a little bit more time for like full, hey, generate me the front-end design in a Figma style, now convert that into an app and so on. But potentially at the end of the year, it could be weeks.
Thank you very much for those. Right here, a quick reminder to everybody. if you've been tuning in via any of our streams on social media like YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so on, please be aware that unfortunately we're unable to monitor your questions live, which means that for future sessions, you'll need to join us on Microsoft Teams. You can RSVP to any future session by either going to our website, well, not by either, but by going to our website, startup2scaleup.club, and either go to the session and RSVP there, or just simply join our WhatsApp group. There's a WhatsApp icon on our site. If you join there, you'll get alerts every day, once a day, for each session that we do. Just a reminder, we run 4 regular sessions per week. Mondays talent, Tuesdays product and tech, Wednesdays growth, and Thursdays fundraising. We also run 2 monthly, one second Friday of each month, a startup legal Q&A focused on UK startup law, and on the third Friday month, startup finances Q&A, mainly focused on UK finances for startups, but it should be can also be for national startups. Now, remember, startup journey can be exciting, so quite challenging. So, try to have some fun in the meantime. Be kind to yourself and everyone else. Say, I see you.